Oh, there's a lot of bugs in this place.
How's it going? What Lonny Reid has to share today is probably the toughest lesson that I have ever had to learn in the garden.
If I start removing bugs from the system, I start to cripple the system.
That's a hard pill for some folks to swallow. Took you a while, didn't it?
It sure did, Bo. Learning to trust the natural system is probably the most rewarding lesson you could learn in the garden, but it could take time. Today, Lonny Reid of the Reid Farm is sharing his most effective, sustainable methods for dealing with what most of us call pests. Plus,
I was real sick about 12 years ago.
we'll dive into how Lonny stepped away from processed foods and the conventional food system to transform his health by growing and eating his own food. Hey, Bo, why don't you give us a quick recap of part one?
Sure, Stack.
Oh, look at that.
Last time Lonny gave us a fascinating food forest tour, and he showed us plants that we had never even heard of. And he showed us a sneak peek of his aquaponics system that he's building.
Thanks, Bo. Now let's get right back to it. Now, where were we?
You have reached your destination.
Here we are at the Reid Farm.
This plant taught me a good lesson. You see how this style of the seed where they just blow out and spread all over the place. I started to see this is called red flower ragleaf. I started to see this on the property and it started getting into all the annual beds and I didn't really want it there, so I started trying to pull it and I thought I had, got hold of it. And then I came out one day and it was everywhere. I had regerminated and more than just a billion of them. So I just gave up, submitted. I think the next season, we had a bunch of tomatoes growing, and I had come outside and I walked by one of these things and I saw it was covered in stink bugs and leaf-footed bugs, particularly leaf-footed bugs. They were all over this, the big giant leaf-footed bugs. And that's the plant they want. That's their host plant. And there were none on my tomatoes.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, you get to stay.
Great.
So from my enemy to my best friend in 2 seconds, it's just an understanding of why is it here, rather than, gotta kill everything, control everything. Way less input, me, and way more food. The more I have just hands off, the better everything is done. Yep. I've got predator bugs that have moved in and take care of stuff for me. My wheel bug population's huge. My ladybug population's huge. There's just all kinds of assassin bugs in here. I've got lovers everywhere. Like literally everywhere. There's so many lovers. They're a native bug to this ecosystem. They're here for a reason. Whether we understand it or not, it's not for us to understand. I mean, you could try. I mean, that's the goal, is to try and understand it. But Paul Stamets said it perfectly. Nature is intelligent, and if we cannot understand the language of nature, does that say that nature isn't intelligent, or does that say that we lack the ability to understand? We just can't communicate. Nature is far more intelligent than us. So us going in and going, oh no, I have to remove that one. Nature didn't say to do that. And really, I think my view was probably born out of laziness and being overwhelmed by no way I'm doing that. I don't have time for that. I have 4 million other things I need to do in keeping this place running. I'm not going to go out hunting down lubbers. No way I'm doing that. And
So this way you have more time for harvesting and enjoying what you have.
propagating, and I go to any of the garden beds or any of my trees and I notice something that maybe I perceive as not ideal or not the way I want it. Rather than trying to control it, I ask why. I look at, what's the problem with this plant? Do I need to go to the roots and figure out, maybe they're dry, maybe something's going on with this plant. Or, I have a big infestation of a certain plant, like we were talking about, red flower ragleaf. They end up doing a lot of good things for me. So I try and figure out what the earth is telling me. It wants me to have this plant. What is this? Look it up. Is there an edibility? Is there a medicinal use to it? Is there a trap crop use to it? And stop trying to control and kill everything. Because the more you try and control, I think the more we throw the system out of balance. So I really don't try and control things. I really had to back off a couple of years ago when the nursery really got very popular, and it just wasn't time to do those kind of things. And as I've backed away, I've had more food than ever before. I've had more stuff thrive. Sure, stuff gets smashed down and bugs eat stuff, and it was its time. Let it go. Plant something else. Plant more seeds. Plant other crops. The harlequin bugs were a good lesson. They come in and they eat all the brassicas at the end of the season, usually around May. And they'll come in, mustard, kales, and they'll just vaporize them right to the ground. I saw this infestation hit one time, and I went out there. I'm like, oh my God, these things, I've never seen nothing like this, millions of them. But it was late season, it's time for it to go. Then they moved to the kale. They dropped the kale to the ground, they ate the collards to the ground, and then they vanished. And that was it. And I didn't see them again for one full year until it was time for them to eat the mustard, eat the kale, and eat the collards to the ground. Because it was the end of the season, it was time for regeneration. They're making compost. They're just beefing up my garden beds. So it's only been a good thing to have more bugs.
Okay, before we go any further, I've got to share something. When I first arrived, I saw locals lined up at the gate at least 45 minutes before they opened. What were they so eager to get? You'll find out in just a bit. But first, let's hear how Lonny turned his health around after battling some serious health issues.
Around 5 a.m. every day, I would get up, run out of bed to the bathroom, throw every day. I started looking at ingredients of different things that I was eating and studying the ingredients. And this one particular day, I ate just a salad before I went to bed. Or not right before I went, for dinner, just a salad. It was benign. There was a little bit of lettuce, just not a whole lot on it. Nothing that would mess me up. And then at night, laying in bed, we're watching TV and snacking on some stuff. I had some honey roasted peanuts, a little bit of sugar, but I didn't realize sugar was the demon that it is back then. And then I had these things called snap pea crisps. They look like a little pea, but they're synthetic, but they're supposed to be healthy, right? They're organic and all that. So I ate those. That's what I had. I had those two things for snacks. And again, 5:30 a.m., thrown up. So after I got done, I went back and I found those two containers. All right, what do we got here? What's the shared ingredients? Something has to be. Because I think I tried one the one night after, and then one another night after that, and see which one did it. And it was both of them. Okay, what's the shared ingredients? Maltodextrin. That was what they shared.
In organic?
Yeah. There's maltodextrin in nearly everything. There's organic maltodextrin. I've seen that in ingredients list too. So all maltodextrin is a corn-derived sweetener. Jacks up your glycemic, your insulin levels because its glycemic index is like through the roof. It's horrible stuff for us. It's like the recipe for a diabetic. Maltodextrin. I got rid of that, and then I started to really realize what individual ingredients could do. Peanut.
Talking about throwing up.
Right? And he comes over here, he's like, I got you, Dad. These dogs. So after I realized that it's like individual things in food that are messing me up, okay, let's look at what are each one of them, because I know there's a bunch of them. So I found mono and diglycerides. Let's look this up. What are these? What is this doing in my food? You don't want to eat mono and diglycerides. Any MSG, anything hydrolyzed. Hydrolyzed is horrible. Anything hydrolyzed. And there's keywords in all the ingredients list. And after starting to feel better and realizing, okay, I gotta just eat these greens, eat these vegetables. And then of course I did my dive into Monsanto and all their games. And what's on all that food and how the commercial stuff is grown and how they've managed it. I understand the concept and I understand probably why it was done the way it was done. There's a lot of people.
Good intentions,
yeah. It's a bad product. But how else do you do it? How do you do it? Because people don't want to do this. It's a lot of work. But if every person did some form of this, it would just take the strain off of the big system so much that maybe they could revert to a better system. But having to support every single person in the United States and feed them all, you got to grow a lot of stuff. You got to kill a lot of bugs, and we got to kill a lot of weeds because it's not sustainable in that way. But it's also a monoculture system where they're growing one thing, and that's one of the reasons that this place works how it does. There's one of our friends we were just talking about, my lovers.
Oh yeah.
Hanging out on my peach tree. The reason this place works is because of the diversity. It's because I have so many different plants here, and each plant attracts a different bug, and each bug eats a different bug, or it all works together.
It's an ecosystem.
Nature knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
And it gives us everything we need. I've got theories about medicines that we grow. Everything, it's all medicine. Everything's medicine. If you need a certain thing and this plant has it, it's medicine.
Food can either be your poison or your medicine.
Absolutely. And we are our biggest enemies. We are 99% of all our problems. And we can fix 99% of all our problems by ourselves. And my biggest problem was I was dying from, not being able to hold food down. And then after realizing that it was me doing it, now, of course not intentionally, but I didn't know any better. Now that I know, if I go and eat that stuff and I feel horrible, who's to blame? It was me. I did it. I did it. I went and ate that stuff because it tasted good. Sugary stuff tastes good. That's why it's like heroin. It's so addictive. But then when we got here and we really got on it, and I went to health coach school, kind of, I guess, to try and help other people, but they were so not interested at all. And I had some conversation with some other successful health coaches who were running successful businesses in coaching, and their methods were not what I wanted to do. It was dirty, and I didn't like it. And they're like, you got to get them on the pills and the supplements, and step by step. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to recommend people take pills. I'm going to recommend that they eat some food and stop eating cakes, candies, and drinking soda. Just show some real self-control. So after the whole health coach thing and trying to explain science to people, and they didn't, their head explodes. And for me, it's intriguing and it's awesome and it's interesting, and I want to know how every organ functions, what it does, how it breaks food down, which parts of food each organ breaks down, what it does. To me, it's like the most fascinating thing. But I was sick, and I know that was where it was happening. So now, to me, it's like, of course it's life-changing because now I understand it.
Yep.
But people don't. This lady, she just wanted to lose weight. She's not really interested in her health. She just wanted to lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a different story. Now, of course, you get healthy, you lose weight. But what I came up with was the short answer to everybody. How do I get healthy? How do I lose weight? How do I this? How do I do that? How do I control my blood sugar? The answer is easy. If it has an ingredients list, don't eat it. There it is. That's what else to say. That eliminates all processed foods. It eliminates all candies, all cakes. It eliminates everything that's bad for you. Everything in one shot. If it has an ingredients list, don't eat it. And that's how I try and live. And when I'm 100% on it, I do better. I feel better. What I encourage everyone to do is start growing some food. Grow anything. Do anything you can. Start anywhere you can. If you only have a bucket, use a bucket. If you have a tray, use a tray. Start growing food. And in this climate, we're in Florida, it's just a difficult place to do this. Look at our climate and what will grow here. That's probably the single most important piece of advice that I could give anybody when they're trying to start and they're not necessarily know about growing anything, is look at the climate and what grows in our climate. It doesn't matter what you want, grow what you can. Because a lot of people want lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchinis. And those things can be done here in a very limited window. But if you're looking to impact your diet, you need to have food 365 days of the year, and you're not going to have lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and zucchinis except for maybe a couple months. And that's if you're diligent and on top of them and you can keep the bugs off them, especially the cucumbers and zucchinis. They're just so difficult. Can it be done? Sure. You know, anything can be done. But for consistency and being able to grow a wide range of things, just look at your latitude line and look at the rest of the world on that same latitude line, north and south. And look at those countries that are on your same spot and see what they're growing. See what's native to those areas. Australia has a great climate that's very similar to ours in parts of it. Of course, you know, not the very northern, very southern, but there's areas in Australia that are identical to Florida, the way they grow, and all the plants are the same.
Plus, if you're trying to grow something that doesn't want to grow there, you're putting a lot, making a lot of extra work for yourself, right?
And ultimately, you're going to fail. There's no, the climate says what it says. You can't outdo nature. She's going to, the ultimate equalizer is Mother Nature. Just grow what wants to grow here, and you'll have success rather than trying to grow and just deciding what you're going to grow. Visit some farms. There's a lot of permaculture farms popping up around the state now, and some really, really great things are being done. We got Joe Pierce up at Mosswood Farm Store in Gainesville. He's a great person to visit.
Amanda Pike.
It'll be Amanda Pike in Jupiter.
Cheers. Cheers.
She's just a pioneer in what she's doing with how she's figured out how to use things and make recipes and make things delicious. Amanda's just dynamic. She's awesome. Jay Reynolds in South Florida has got a YouTube channel that I love to watch. Jay, I've been to his place. I've worked with him. Jay is amazing. Matt Reese has done some awesome agroforestry work and food foresting work.
You've got your own YouTube channel.
I have my own YouTube channel, The Reid Farm. Some of the other, Josh Jameson at Cody Cove.
Yes.
All kinds of great research, brilliant work. David Scanlon, Practical Plants. Another one, Finding Climate Appropriate Plants. There's a bunch of us. There's a bunch of us.
Why were these people so eager to get to the Reid Farm? The farm hosts a popular Mango Madness, a mango tasting festival where in this mango season they sold about 70 of the finest varieties, along with a few other tropical delights, as well as the Reid Farm's raw honey and delicious mango bread. Hey Bo, you ready?
Live regeneratively.
And let's grow together.